Okay, everyone, we're gonna go live. Drop in, let me know where you're coming in from in the cake universe. We are gonna be discussing the new Freezer 2.0 system with some really, really amazing returns. Obviously, I would love it if you come in, drop me a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button. And yeah, leave me a comment or write something into the chat. The plan for today is I'm going to walk you through the new Freezer 2.0 system, some ideas that went into this, where this is all coming from, and kind of click a bit around on the website. And then I want to answer your questions if these questions are, if you have any questions. I have a couple of questions, obviously, that were like asked already on Telegram and on social. So I hope you've been following us there already. I can see Eval dropping in, and Ian, and Klaus, and Fabio, and Christoph. So quite amazing. I'll do the same thing in German in about an hour. So for those of you that speak German and prefer this in German, I'll do the same thing in German. I will do it though on my personal channel for the very simple reason because the audience is just way bigger there. So the English one will do on my personal channel. Yes, Holger, there will be a German one. Um, Great. So I think with that, let's go a bit into the explanation on how this all got started. Um, when when any product is there, right, and any service, what you're trying to do is you're trying to incentivize your top users. At the end, that's always what you're trying to do, right? Your worst users with the biggest problems, right? As a company, you always say, you know what? If the worst users with the biggest problems, if they go somewhere else, sure. I mean, you can live with that. The majority of the users, the bulk, you want to keep, and they are like the majority. But then you have those really loyal users who either deposit a lot of money or who just stick with the company for the long run, right? Those loyal ones, you need to incentivize them extra. And so we had this old kind of confectionery program where you could freeze a certain amount of DFI and then you got incentives, and that was a bit of the downside. Some were completely different. So many people were complaining and said, hey, I love the idea of freezing, and freezing simply means you lock up funds for a certain period of time, but I'm not using those other things. For example, I'm not referring anyone, or I'm not using the Bitcoin product. I wanna have my incentives on DFI. And I think this was really valuable feedback. So what we did was we revamped the freezer completely with mainly three biggest differences. The very first difference, the old freezer, the minimum was 10,000 DFI. And just to put this into perspective, this was at a time when DFI was worth maybe 20 cents. So it was around $2,000. And we felt this was reasonable. Now today, 10,000 DFI with a price of $3.50 is close to $35,000. Massive, massive difference. So on the amount side, we went to pretty much no minimum. The minimum is one DFI, so that's $3.50. So to be realistic, anyone that has DFI with us here at Cake can use the freezer. The second one was to have a more flexible timeline. Not everyone wanted to kind of commit their funds for 6 months. Some said, I want to commit them shorter, and some said, hey, I want to commit them longer, but I want to have even more incentives. So what we did was the minimum is now 1 month and the maximum is 10 years. And again, if you think 10 years is a long time, I tell you, I don't know exactly the number. Maybe Fabio, you can write it into the chat. We're actually going to be very transparent about the freezer numbers because we want to be sure that everyone out there has the same information as any Cake employee when it comes to DFI. The amount of DFI that has been frozen for 10 years in just 12 hours is absolutely mind-blowing. And I totally get it. I get the time horizon. I get the vision. Imagine you would have locked up your Bitcoin 10 years ago. In between, with all these ups and downs, you would have made out of $1,000, you would have made what? Probably $50 million, right? So time horizon investing is everything. So I totally get why people are actually locking up their funds for 10 years. But so that's the difference. And so the third big difference is, what is the benefit? And now the benefit comes into the product. It's actually more returns. And the returns are significant in comparison to if you would just be staking versus if you're actually freezing them for a certain time frame. And let me show you kind of the difference, because I think that is quite impressive. By the way, we also have this blog post where you can kind of where you have all this explained. It's just below in the video. You'll see a couple of screenshots and you can kind of see all this for yourself. But so basically what I want to walk through is I want to walk through the website. So when you go to the website, cakedefi.com, you can click here on Freezer, and that is exactly what you can see. And that's the key part, right? So the main benefits are more returns, but at the same time, and that's a big difference to the old Freezer, you actually get cash flow every month. So the reason why so many people lock up their funds for a very long time is because they're getting a very high return on a monthly cash flow. And that is exactly what Cake is about. Cake is about providing cash flow from your cryptocurrencies. So you might be saying, okay, how's this possible? How can you give me a higher return the more I lock it up? Well, it's very simple. As you might know, 15% of the returns that a user makes is our profit. And here is where we want to give back. And we actually want to give back up to 85% of our fees to you. So we would be left out with a very small amount. Obviously, that highest amount comes when you actually lock it up for the biggest period of 10 years. That's when we're really giving you the max. And so you can really add on top there. So I'm just kind of making an example here with 100,000 DFI. The difference is massive. If you would just regularly stake them, it would be 2.3 million. With this, it's almost 50% more. Don't forget the one thing though. This is monthly cash flow. So that's the total, and you would be getting your share on a monthly basis. Just think this through. This is a massive, massive difference. And that actually has led to why so many people, just in the first 12 hours, I don't know, Fabio doesn't seem online. Maybe someone can bug him because I can't remember. I can't remember the numbers. Yeah, so that's why so many people have used it. Now, Hendrik here makes a really good point, and you can see this here. Now, obviously, the returns completely depend on what the DeFi chain consensus does. So I can not promise you what's gonna be possible in the long run here in the returns, but I can promise you that we will maximize your returns on that. Can you please live freeze 100,000 DFI for 10 years? I will gladly do that, Wusa. Not today, but I will definitely do that. Yes, so here's the action. Okay, Fabio just removed that. He retracted it. He's probably gonna post it. Okay, so we have 3,300 new actions in just 12 hours, right? Just imagine that. So that could also mean that a single person freezes several times, right? So let's see if he should be sharing the total frozen DFI, and he should be sharing the 10-year frozen DFI, and I think how many people froze. So we should be getting those numbers. And we want to be completely transparent about that. That's really, really important. So 6 million DFI have been frozen now in this new system. 6 million. That's in like 12 hours. Imagine, like, to me, that's an insane kind of speed. Close to 500,000 have been frozen for 10 years. So that's close to like 10% of that. Not entirely 8%, but still, that's just unbelievable. And at the moment, 1,300 users have been using the freezer. So really, really, really nice uptake. And I totally get it why. So yeah, quite cool. One of the biggest questions I obviously got is, what happens if Cake gets sold, for example, in the meantime? Or if Cake decides we don't want to operate anymore? What happens? Well, obviously, at that point, we would unlock all the funds, and at that point, you would get your DFI back, because there's no more interest for us to keep going at that. So I think that's, quite interesting. Yeah, so super, super exciting. I think it's, I think that's going to be a killer product. We're going to offer also a freezer, and so it's going to be offered for DFI. We're going to offer it for Dash as well, just exactly the same way. We're going to be offering a Bitcoin freezer. We're going to be offering, I'm not sure, an Ethereum freezer, but definitely a Bitcoin freezer. So we're definitely gonna offer that as well for those that say, hey, you know what, I'm totally cool with that. And so maybe a little bit of some strategy in this, right? Um, if you're uncomfortable freezing something for 10 years, fair enough, but maybe stagger it, right? You can stagger this. You can say, you know what, 10% I'll freeze. You can freeze several times, right? So that's why you see here there's various actions, right? So 3,300 actions done by 1,300 people. So what's possible here is that you can go and say, you know what, 10% I'll freeze for a month, 10% I'll freeze for 3 months, 10% I'll freeze for 6 months, 10% I'll do for a year, and so on, right? So you can stagger this. And again, that's also something how I would personally be doing this with my own funds, because I believe that's exactly how you should go about it. Now, if you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for the 10 years, fantastic. Like, that is the long-term biggest amount. And that is where the chunk at the end will go, because to be honest, I don't expect any kind of selling for me for DFI in the near future. For me, this is super, super long term. Yeah, so I just kind of want to explain the picture here a bit. But the staggering, right, that might be a very nice idea. Yeah, so very, very exciting launch. I think it's going to be a very strong uptake. Many people will be using it. It's actually also, and obviously get this, right? It's going to be a nice incentive for many people to actually stake on Cake and not by themselves, which obviously everyone can, but obviously for us as a company, we need to generate cash flow by providing an attractive service. So yeah, that's key. And then don't forget, you're going to get monthly cash flow. And I think that's just really, really cool, because you're going to be able to calculate, right? So I'm going to lock up, I don't know, let's say 100,000 DFI, and I can calculate every month, this is how many DFI I'm getting. And it's just really, really, really cool. And at the end, that's what it's about. Monthly cash flow from your cryptocurrencies. Yeah, so that is a bit of the Freezer. Try it out. If you're not a user yet, there's still a $20 sign-up promotion. So sign up on Cake and use that promotion while it lasts. Freeze your funds, lock them, pick your time frame, a benefit additionally, quite exciting, and yeah, benefit from that. If there's any other questions, drop me in the comments below. I'll look through the comments and I'll give you a bit of the ideas. And yeah, that was just the uptake in the first 24 hours. So quite some nice growth there. So imagine what's going to happen over next week, next month. So yeah, people want cash flow, especially in times like these. Cool. With that, I'll keep you posted on further updates. See you next time. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Yours truly, Julian.